And it was, you know, to me, that's the kind of life I grew up in. But you can change that.
Right, right.
You just want to be different. And being different is not saying your parents are no good. And by God, no, I don't mean that. But they had problems that they didn't even know.
Right.
But I think that's a part of what our TAWA group does. We try to make sure that Teens Against Violence and Abuse comes in to be able to give children or teens an avenue that where they can go to express themselves or learn to express themselves in different ways. So that's where the TAWA program, we hope, comes in to help, you know, get them at a point, or get teens at a point where you may see that there is a different path than the one you may be on right now.
It just takes to get them to open up, because walking into the jail system, they're afraid of you, and they think you don't care about them. The only reason you're there is because you're getting paid. And when one kid said that to me, I says, no, I don't get paid for coming here. He says, you take your time to come here? I said, yeah, because I care about you.
And I think that's one thing that we found too doing our victim services, is that people are so appreciative that there's a volunteer that cares about them, and they're doing this because they want to serve.
Yes, yes. Because I don't want to see these kids grow up and be mamas, because I had my first child at 15 years old. That's ludicrous. But it turned out good. That's because I had the motivation. I wasn't going to beat my kid. I wasn't going to drink. I wasn't going to run around. But I'm not perfect, believe me. But I mean, when I go into the systems with the girls, and they hear my story, and they go, and look where you are. And I said, if I can do it, you can do it.
Well, you can you can give them hope, which is important.
Yes, and I give them my home, and if they want to come and learn things. And the one thing I tell you I found was so interesting. You go in there, and I'm a hugger. And I want to show these girls, you know what, they've hadn't had hugs. No, I don't want you to touch me. Fine. But when the first part of the program is over, they come to me and said, can I have that hug now? You are real. You are a real person.
You have to get to a point where you reach and touch a person from the outside.
Yeah. And just because you wrote a book or something, that doesn't mean you're rich. You're not a big shot, you know. You never know who's going to end up in jail. So these kids can be anything in the whole wide world. All you just put your mind to it. So.
And I think that's one in our teen advocate group. They actually meet right at the Bowie gym. And one of the things—
I'd like to come and talk to them with my program. I really would.
Oh, okay. Because that's why we put that together. One reason was because we had such a high percentage of teens that were victims. But the other reason is because teens listen to teens. More boys or more girls are
victimized? Who?
Well, we seem to see more girls. But it doesn't mean that boys aren't victimized. Boys don't disclose as much as girls.
They're big and tough.
And so and so that doesn't mean that boys aren't getting victimized. I mean, the statistics show 1 in 5 boys are sexually assaulted before they're 18. And so it is going on. It's just how often do they report. But we found using teens as the messengers to talk to teens, you know, it opens up a whole new dynamic of conversation.
Yeah, because they feel safer with their own group.
With their peer group.
They trust. But you can never let them down, though, because, oh, my goodness, it's so hard. It's like climbing that mountain all over again.
Well, because they've been let down before, and so they don't trust that, they don't believe that people are going to do the right thing.
Right. And one little girl told me, she says, well, you know, all my mom does is lay around all day and smokes crack. And so it took her a while to say, I've tried it. She was 9 years old. 9 years old, she's tried crack.
It's a learned behavior. I mean, this is what she
you
sees,
see
so
it,
this
you
is what
do
she does.
it. Even since my own son, who just had this open heart surgery, we were talking about codependency. And he says, Mom, do you know this girl? He told me her name, and I said, yeah. He said, you know, we never really got along. And I said, I knew that. And I said, but you had a codependent relationship. She had something you needed, and you had something she needed. Not necessarily sex, but you're drawn to codependent people. And he says, Mom, you're smart. I said, I know. I know.
Right. It takes him a while to learn that.
Because I've learned something really valuable now in my life, you know? He says, I have a new heart, and I've got a part of my mother that I didn't know knew so much. So, I mean, I felt really good. We clicked that day really good. So maybe the open heart surgery was the reason for all this. I don't know.
Right.
We never know. You know what I'm saying? And Richard's murder was another thing. It got me into the prisons. I've been to 9.
Wow.
I've been to Cheltenham with the boys first. They were out there, then the girls, and Waxters, and Upper Marlborough, and Cheltenham. I can't think of the other place over in Laurel, but 5 other places in Baltimore, Maryland. And I go in there and I'm not afraid. I've never been afraid walking in any of those places. Waxter's is in Laurel.
And yeah, and I mean, it is a sad situation because it does seem like the offenders and perpetrators are getting younger and younger.
Yes.
But at the same time, from our perspective, perpetrators have always had a lot of rights and protection. And it's been the victim that's kind of showed up to court and they're by themselves, you know, trying to tell their story, or, you know, or the victim that's kind of been, you know, put aside and not really trained and educated on what their rights are, even, you know, in the courtroom.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why we're focused on, you know, working with the victim and making sure that they get engaged in the process early.
It's like domestic violence. If you place a warrant and you don't show up, your case is thrown out.
Right, right, right.
So do you ever go to court with any of them?
Well, I personally don't, but we do have court
Advocates,
companions.
good.
Our advocates may go to court with someone, but if they're not available to go to court with someone, we will supply a court companion as a support
Good, because they
person
throw
for
the
them.
cases out. The judges will do that today.
They
Do you have a lot of Hispanics? Not that I'm trying to be biased.
No, because as a matter of fact, we probably run about 38%. And we have a walk-in victim services clinic up in Hyattsville, which is
There's a lot of crime over there.
Yeah, which is highly populated by the Latino population. And so we have a Spanish-speaking advocate that can, you know, educate them on what their rights are, you know, talk to them about the process. And really, he also spends a lot of time just translating information that comes in the mail. But our focus there for doing that was to make sure that, I mean, non-English speaking people, period, understand that once you become a victim, you're a victim and your status doesn't have anything to do with it. And so from that perspective, we wanted to, you know, put someone right there in the hub of things where people can feel, you know, no threat at all to just walk in and get information and they're free to go. And that's really worked well.
I'm sure you help them not blame themselves, because the first thing a girl will say, well, he hit me because I did this. No, he hit you because he wanted to hit you.
Right, right.
So you don't, you know, you've got to take blame for what you do.
Because no one has the right to
touch you.
To touch you, to kill anyone, or, you know, or to take your things.
That's right, that's right. And the kid said, well, I grew up in it, so I'm going to be in it. A lot of the children have told me that, these 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. I do it because I seen Dad rob a bank to get some money. But that doesn't mean you've got to do it too.
Right.
Well, that's also part of our program. We have many support groups. We have
education-wise,
we have family dialogue sessions, because often there is a disconnect between the non-offending parent and the child. So we make sure that we get, you know, the family dialogue sessions together so that they can understand where each person's perspective is, and with a mediator come to a hopefully mutual agreement.
What about children in divorce? That's very prevalent that I work with a lot.
Well, the one place that we definitely include children there is our court education program, because a lot of time now parents involve children, you know, providing testimony in court during their divorce, and so it's real important.
I don't like that.
Right, I know.
You like that? I don't like that at all.
I don't. I really don't.
Sometimes they're bribed by one parent for money, and I'm sure you've heard that. It's not going to be any surprise to the viewing audience, but I don't believe in that.
And it's very traumatic for children, because children shouldn't be put in a situation where they have to choose between mom and dad. You know, and it's very sad. But what we try to let the children know is, you know, tell the truth. Whatever they ask you, just tell the truth, and it doesn't matter whose side you're on.
Right.
You know, but it always drives me nuts when parents involve their children in.
Me too, because it hurts their family.
It really
does, because the girl or the boy talks about daddy, then mom's hurt.
Right.
One parent is going to be hurt, and they still need their parents.
They
after
still
they
need
get
both
through
of them.
this. Yeah. Do you have anyone to talk with the kids with? I mean, I'm sure you do about divorce.
Well, I don't deal directly with that. Ms. Joel deals directly with that type of program, and particularly in our court education program. But yeah, there are, with our family dialogue sessions and our support groups, that there are avenues for the children to express themselves.
I think with the family dialogue sessions, sometimes that's the first time that families have had an opportunity to speak uninterrupted, because that's the first thing that they have to agree to.
Because all the kids hear the arguments,
right,
the cursing, the
exactly,
drinking.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of the first time that the family has to agree. When you're talking, I'm not going to say anything. And so a lot of times that's the first time the child's ever been heard.
That's what Judge Joe Brown says. I only listen to one person at a time.
Right, and that's important.
It is. You can't hear to everybody's side.
You cannot.
If the child is there, you can destroy that child's brain. I believe that with all my heart. And you hurt their hearts too. It's very painful.
Right, it really is.
I think you guys are smart.
Well, thank you.
And I'm glad you do so much.
Yeah.
We try, and again, like we have our Latino initiative, we have our court education programs, and our court education programs is actually a four-pronged kind of program where we deal with children, non-offending parents, adult victims, and
we
the
do it in
bilingual,
Spanish.
bilingual
What
programs.
about African Americans? You have a lot of young girls like that.
Yeah, and I mean, and part of it's due to, you know, Prince George's County is, you know, 74% African American, but
They say 74% black, rest is white, and that's putting us down right there. I'm sorry. I don't like to hear that. I really don't.
Right.
You know, we may be different colors, but we're all children of God. We're all together. We're together.
That's right. That's
and I want
right.
the kids to know that too. You know?
And I think the generation of children though that are coming up, there is no barrier in terms of black, white, Hispanic. I mean, they're very comfortable, you know, with all races, and that is so wonderful.
It is. It is. But I just wish parents could spend more time. I really, really do.
Right.
Because I've seen so much improvement if you can spend just a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Like I say, I have a niece who's 25, and she's got a 7-year-old. And she's not married, but I made her go back to school, put her in computer school, then she took medical training. She was working for a psychiatrist, not a psychiatrist, plastic surgeon for almost 70 grand a year. She just bought her first house.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And the daddy comes to see my niece, and you know, it's calm. It's calm. If they have anything to say to one another, they'll say it when Keely's not in the room, which I think is fantastic, because you can ruin their little brains.
Right, you really can. And the one thing we try to educate, you know, our families on is that, you know, the county's set up where there is safe visitation, where there are drop-off points. So there's no need to have conflict in front of the children.
Yes.
You know, so there are ways and methods that are already set up.
Right. It takes a lot of time, but would you believe our time is gone?
Really?
Really? Really? Oh.
And I thought we weren't going to even.
We have had 30 minutes, ladies. Our time is up. If you'd like to come back for another part, I'd like to know more.
Yes, and we'd
I
like to
wanna-
tell you more.
Yes.
All right. What do you? I'll call you when I get home, and we'll pick another time. But I'd like for you both to come back.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully before Thanksgiving, because this is my Thanksgiving. You know, this is my gift to my
Yeah.
viewing audience. Because
Well, that would be great, because we actually have a candlelight vigil that we're doing in December for parents who have lost their children to violence. And so we would love to get on there.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lizette,
Thank
for
you.
being here. I
Thank you.
really enjoyed having both of you. I hope you enjoyed the show, and there will be a part 2, I promise. And watch us on YouTube tonight. Thank you for watching. Until next time.